Get ready!
Valkyria Chronicles is a game whose title only makes sense in context. If you haven't played the game and gotten said context, you'd probably assume Sega just intentionally misspelled Valkyrie to sound cool. Yep, Sega, the company that seems to make a bunch of great games completely unrelated to the series they're known for, made this. Not only did they make this game, they made an entire franchise off this, including 3 manga series, an anime adaptation, and of course, sequels. While Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 were released on the PSP, and 3 was never officially released outside of Japan, but you can play it in English anyway because technology is awesome, and the less said about Valkyria Revolution, the better. The next game in the series is set to be released next month without using a Roman numeral for the title. Black Ops 4 joke. So let's just take a look at the game that started it all, originally released on the PS3 in 2008, but with a remastered port for PS4 in 2016, along with an upcoming port for Nintendo Switch. To be clear, the version I use for this video is the vanilla PS3 original, meaning no DLC. Not very adventurous, but I needed an excuse to finally play it anyway. So here are my overview, review, tips, tricks, and general thoughts on the game. Let's get started, shall we? In the world of whatever this place is called, there exists a country totally not based on any real-life one, swearsies, called Europa. This totally original land is divided between the Atlantic Federation and the East European Imperial Alliance, also known as the Empire. As their name suggests, the Empire wants to take over Europa and then the world, because of course they do. When was the last time something calling itself an empire didn't want to conquer everything? I dare you to find one. In order to fulfill this completely predictable dream, they need fuel, and in this world, some crazy magical rock called Ragnite, which is basically the Swiss Army knife of power sources. It can power vehicles, explode, heal the wounded, tenderize meat, shine your shoes, walk your dog, and probably whatever else the writers think they can get away with. It's like gasoline, Fallout stim packs, and the Energizer Bunny all in one convenient resource. Although it can't be that convenient because it turns out trying to take over entire countries requires a lot of resources, and the Empire just don't have enough. Luckily, they hear through the grapevine about this really small, totally non-threatening, unarmed, idyllic country practically overflowing with Ragnite called Gallia. As in, golly, you sure got a nice country there, would be a shame if something happened to it. So they happen to it. Now Gallia's government forms a militia from eager volunteers to send to their to defend and serve their country. Yeah. In other words, it's World War Animu, where a good chunk of your motley but still hopefully highly trained military force consists of cute teenage girls, and in order to get Senpai to notice you, you gotta kill Nazis. Or at least this universe's equivalent of Nazis. I don't care if this war started because of resources instead of genocide, they're still Nazis. Just look at this guy. If that's not the look of an anime Nazi, I don't know what is. The story focuses on a huge nerd in his early 20s named Welkin Gunther, who joins the militia and is immediately promoted to lieutenant because he was the only one who thought to bring a tank. Taking place over 18 chapters, it tells the story of how Welkin guides his unit, Squad 7, in fighting back the Empire and probably saving the world or whatever. At the very least, they're going to go on the offensive to tell the Empire to stop being such jerks, be happy with what they have, and get their narcissistic ruler to take off his stupid outfit. Each chapter contains at least one mission and shows the reasons and aftermath for each, detailing why what your ragtag group is doing is important, somehow. They also focus on the main members of Squad 7 and their relationships with each other, like how this redhead is a total racist for no actual reason, especially towards Welkin's adopted sister, wink wink nudge nudge. Don't worry, this came before that trend was a major thing, thank gosh. As the game goes on, big mission after big mission, including a reenactment of the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan, Welkin gets to be such a big shot that he gets the princess on his side. What is with her head? Seriously, who put her in that outfit? So, yep, it's basically an anime retelling of World War II with a bit of fantasy thrown in for funsies. If you're saying it's inaccurate to what really happened in World War II and disrespect those who fought, you should remember that the war in this game started over magic energy rocks. Valkyria Chronicles is a turn-based strategy RPG in the vein of games like XCOM and probably some other games I don't know about. You navigate the game in book mode, which is divided into tabs, divided into entries. The 18 chapters let you choose a cutscene or mission, then confirm that yes, you do want to start shooting anime Nazis. But before you do that, you need to go into the command room, which is in the headquarters tab, and fill out a roster of 20 soldiers from 5 separate classes. You have more than enough candidates to choose from at the beginning, and you even get new recruits later on down the line, just in case you're a terrible leader and people die on your watch. You can even recruit Aika for some reason. Not sure why she's here when... Vice? Okay, seriously, why are you two here? You're pirates. Why are you fighting for our country? Can we get a new Skies of Arcadia game, please? Scouts are the most mobile units and can travel the farthest. They aren't the most powerful units for combat, but they aren't completely helpless, especially if they can get some headshots. Shock troopers are your best units for taking out enemies since they have Tommy guns. They don't travel very far though. Lancers are your go-to anti-tank class and carry missile launchers to... well, get rid of tanks. What do you expect? Engineers can repair destroyed sandbag wall, disarm mines, reload limited ammo for anyone they touch, use more powerful healing items, repair tanks, and are the second most mobile class. Downside? They're the worst class for combat. I guess carrying around all the gear required to do these things and a tiny shovel and apparently a bottomless supply of grenades, anti-tank missiles, sniper bullets, and who knows what else means a better gun is just out of the question. Finally, there are snipers who shoot people's shoulder melons from really far away. Alright! The classes aren't the only thing you need to pay attention to, since each individual recruit has a few things called potentials, meaning their stats are buffed or debuffed under certain circumstances. Some are comfortable standing on dirt, raising their accuracy, some have back pain and can't shoot as effectively when crouching behind sandbag walls, some can see in the dark, and some of them are gay. What's more, most of them are friends with other units, which just makes everything so much more fun to figure out. How am I supposed to remember all this? Once you've gotten all your charts figured out to calculate the best possible squad, or just picked whoever looked the cutest, you can head out onto the battlefield and begin taking the virtual lives of faceless armored jerkbags. You always have Welkin and his tank by default and can choose 8 more before deploying. During each turn, you have a set number of moves you can perform shown by the shiny golden badges up top known as command points. You survey the battlefield from an overhead perspective and choose a unit to move, which is when things get interesting. It switches to a sort of third-person shooter view as you move the character and position them where you want within limits. Each of them has these things called AP, which is this little meter shown down here. They can only move so far, and once it's out, you can't use them again. Once you've got someone or something in your sights, you go into aiming mode, take aim, and fire away. If you shoot people enough times, they fall down and are out of the battle, just like in real life. However, as a wise man once said,
war is hell.
And one of the first casualties here was the ancient sacred rules of turn-based combat. Because while you're just minding your own business, setting up your strategy to kill everyone, they think it's perfectly acceptable to start shooting whenever you're in range. Well, I guess courtesy and tradition has no place here, so luckily your army does the same. But once you raise your gun, everyone realizes poop just got real and kindly stand still as long as needed to line up your shot and blast them away. Another really useful weapon is a grenade. It blows stuff up. As much fun as killing all the anime Nazis sound, it's not actually your goal in any mission. Your actual goal is simply to empty out enemy base camps and take them over, so I guess this massive war, probably causing the death of millions, follows the same rules as capture the flag. So you don't have to kill everyone, just enough to get any unit to the flag and occupy it. Then I guess everyone just runs away out of fear of your flag raising skill. Some missions require you to just reach a certain point on the map, like when you need to destroy a train by shooting a bomb on a bridge. Actually, several missions give some kind of twist to the battlefield, like telegraphed mortar fire, or really big enemy tanks. Speaking of tanks, I should probably talk about them. They're the most powerful type of units you can have, at least until you see the big titty girl on fire and realize she can screw over everyone. You only have one tank for about 10 chapters, known as the Edelweiss, and it's... well, a tank. It costs 2 command points while normal units just cost 1, but its attack power is crazy. Its main use is armor-piercing shells to take out other tanks, but it also has a limited supply of explosive mortars more powerful than normal grenades, along with a 7-shot machine gun. Not only is it really powerful for offense, it's basically invincible to normal bullets and other weapons, so it can only be injured by other tanks or lancers. So if there are some lancers around, you better take them out quickly with your other units, especially if they're close to the giant glowing weak spot on the back of every tank. Seriously, were these modeled after Zelda bosses or something? Once you're done with a mission, you earn a grade to determine how much money and experience you get, which you need to upgrade your army. At headquarters, there's a training field and an R&D department. Go to the training field and you can spend your hard-earned experience to level up each class by means of a one-eyed drill sergeant who fortunately isn't as aggressive as a certain other one.
You had best unfuck yourself or I will unscrew your head and down your neck!
Okay, moving on to R&D, where your fat stacks of cash money can be spent upgrading the weapons for each class, along with their grenades and uniforms for added defense. Once you reach a certain point in the game, their paths will branch off to put emphasis on different stats, like power or accuracy. You can even build upgrades for your tank, like defense for your giant glowing weak spot practically screaming, "Hey, come shoot me and make me lose the mission, because that's how this game works." Seriously, who thought that was a good idea? If you're a bit short on either money or experience, you can just play a skirmish. You can't replay main missions in this game, so instead you unlock certain battlefields for skirmish missions, which you can replay at any time. But no matter how many times you play through them and level up your troops, it won't make your soldiers invincible, even when you really hope an enemy doesn't come up and take out your people one by one. Oh my gosh, just stop it already. It does help to have your units crouch behind sandbag walls, which increase their defense, somehow. Just sandbag walls though, for the Spectre of cover shooting rarely took prisoners in the previous generation. Fortunately, there's a pretty simple solution. When an ally falls in battle and ragdoll onto the ground, all you have to do is get any other unit to their location, and they'll call over Fina? Okay, seriously, when are we getting a new Skies of Arcadia game? Finally, just a few things that don't really matter, but I might as well mention them because it's in the game. There's this place called Castlefront Street at headquarters, which gives you little tidbits on what's happening in the world of the game. It's also another place you spend your money, since you can buy extra short reports for character development or something like that if it's really that important to you. There's also the audience hall, where the Deadpan Princess rewards you with medals for accomplishing certain tasks. They do absolutely nothing, you get really good weapons if you get enough, so go for it. Like a repeated customer reward card for murder. This game's pretty good. It's solid strategy gaming with a lovely coat of anime cuteness. I honestly don't know why it took me so long to get around to playing it, since I've had this for a good while, and playing it for this video was the first time I actually got past Chapter 5. Maybe I just was caught up in other stuff and never got back to this, but I'm glad I finally did. While I'm a massive fan of JRPGs, the strategy subgenre isn't really my specialty, but I can see why Valkyria Chronicles was so well received 10 years ago. Well, this game was released a decade ago. Not this month, but seriously, didn't mean for that to happen. Cool coincidence though. The story isn't really the most interesting to me, since the characters they choose to focus on aren't exactly the most fleshed out or creative, but the world itself is really cool. It feels like they thought it out, giving it its own kind of history with the Valkyrian race and all the different character profiles. It's a lot of information, and I didn't read it all, but it's neat to know every person you bring onto the battlefield has some kind of history behind them. Another thing I really like is the graphics. Sega used their Canvas graphics engine, and I absolutely love the aesthetic it gives the game, imitating sketch lines and watercolor to the point of having a sort of border around the screen from not painting the edges. That's just a nice touch. The gameplay itself is, again, solid. Nothing else I really have to add there, since it's not really a genre I'm overly familiar with and can comment a lot on. Something I could really do without is the whole tower defense thing going on, where people attack when it's not their turn. I don't mind the mechanic itself so much, but man, the enemy is way too aggressive. If you start a move in front of them, they will fire without hesitation, causing me no end of headache. If they just gave us a second or two to get out of the way, it would be a lot less annoying. Oh well. Aside from that complaint, Valkyria Chronicles is a great strategy RPG I can recommend to anyone looking to get their noodle working while ogling some anime cuties. If you happen to be looking for that, I'd say grab the remastered version for PS4 and Switch, since it includes the DLC. Now for a few pieces of advice to make your playthrough a bit easier. If you don't have any cover to keep your unit safe, remember to use your tank as cover. Normal weapons can't hurt it, so it can function as a movable wall. Most battlefields have midway camp, so it's a useful strategy to capture it and call in the big guns like shock troopers or lancers from there. This way they don't have to waste time and command points to travel further. Your mission is never to kill everyone. It's more important finding a method to simply empty out and capture the enemy's base. This is a strategy game, and being too aggressive can lose you units. Think more chess, less Gears of War. Don't bother spending money on the mini beach episode, which of course it has, cause anime. It doesn't have a mission and costs 50,000 currency, so it costs more than basically every upgrade and you get nothing for it. You can use that money for your army. Okay, never mind, buy it as soon as possible. Make sure to always have a decent amount of scouts, because they are incredibly useful. Their high mobility allows them to easily reach fallen allies, and their rifles can help finish off enemies. Aside from Welkin, the main story characters can't actually die. If they fall under the same conditions as a normal unit would do to die, they'll just retreat from battle and be usable in the next mission. So don't worry about them, they'll be fine. Feel free to use them as your meat shields. Better to not try purchasing every upgrade to save you money and time. Instead, try figuring out what your usual battle strategy is and buying upgrades around that. For example, I usually went for accuracy boost because I use a lot of scouts and snipers, and figured what's the point in stronger bullets if they don't hit anything. In other words, shop smart, shop S-smart. That is Valkyria Chronicles, a great strategy game I'm glad I finally played. It was a neat take on the World War II-esque setting and became successful enough to keep going to this very day. With sequels, adaptations, and a spin-off no one wanted, it's clear this series has earned its reputation as a great franchise for the modern JRPG audience. I really enjoyed playing this game and look forward to the 4th entry, which is just around the corner. Thus ends my summary of Valkyria Chronicles. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you have a great day.